get started in a moment. Just make sure we got people connecting. Great. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Good afternoon, everyone out there. Welcome to our live session here where we're going to be looking and talking about some CompTIA uh, certifications. We're going to be talking about four different certifications. I'm going to go over those as far as how to obtain those, how to study, and some other good information. So let's go ahead and get started with everything. So welcome to Ask Me Anything with Bill Price. I am Bill Price, your instructor and your guide on this journey. The chat will be open for questions and comments, and please feel free to ask questions as we go along. So let's go ahead and start. A little introduction about myself. My name is Bill Price. I am a cybersecurity consultant. I've been in the industry for 20 years or so. My background is in information technology as well as cybersecurity. Some of the certifications that I hold is the CompTIA A Plus, Security Plus, Network Plus, CySA Plus, all the certifications that we're going to be talking about here this afternoon, as well as some other industry certifications, CEH, SSCP, ITIL, and other certifications as well. And my contact information is there. I love meeting people, working with people. I love technology. I love explaining it, helping people get into the role in the field, whatever technology direction they're going in, and just love talking shop all the time with people. So what we're going to be doing again today is talking about certifications, CompTIA certifications. The featured certifications that we're going to be discussing are the CompTIA A Plus, the CompTIA Network Plus, the CompTIA Security Plus, and the CompTIA CySA Plus. And we're going to be giving an overview of those certifications, what you need to do to attain those, and different tools that we have here on the Cybrary platform for those certifications and get you prepared in getting that certification and taking practice tests and learning and getting yourself ready to get those certifications. So let's go ahead and move on. So before we start talking about those individually, we're going to talk about them as far as in overall pathways. So CompTIA has something set up called CompTIA Pathways. And what they are is different routes that you can take in obtaining your certification, which is a very, very, very great platform because the certifications that we're talking about are different parts of like an onion or a foundation. You have your core skills, which is your IT fundamentals. Those are going to include the A Plus and the Network Plus and the Security Plus. And as we go along, you can see how these certifications build on one another. Say, for instance, with the A Plus. The A Plus certification is a wonderful certification because you're going to learn a lot of different technologies. You're going to learn everything from mobile devices, motherboards, motherboard components, peripherals, up to technologies as TCP/IP, the beginnings of network connections, to displays, printing technologies, and the like. I mean, it's a lot of different technologies rolled into the CompTIA A Plus, and it's really geared to your entry level professionals getting into the industry, learning about the technologies, because it gives you a broad base, and from that broad base, you can go in any direction as far as in cybersecurity. And that's what the purpose of the A Plus is for. So it's a great foundation to begin with. Then from there, it begins with the Network Plus. And the Network Plus is building on the A Plus because now we're in the place of building networks. We already know about the technologies through the A Plus, but now with the Network Plus, we get to build on that and begin to build networks and work with networks. And the Network Plus gives you a lot of information as far as how to build networks, networking fundamentals, technologies, networking services, physical devices. You're going to learn a lot of the network components on the Network Plus exam. Now, after we've built the network, we're going to secure the network with Security Plus. And that's the goal of the Security Plus certification. Because now that you've built it, now we got to secure it. We're going to learn about malware, how to prevent your the networks for being reducing threats and vulnerabilities on those networks. There's going to be so many different things you're going to learn. Attacks, threats, operation management, architecture and design. Also, a good thing about the Security Plus is you'll begin to be introduced to governance and regulations. You're going to learn about HIPAA, PCI DSS, SOX, GDPR, CCPA, and you're going to learn about NIST standards. And all those are geared to helping you secure your network. So that's all at the core of the CompTIA Pathways, the core skills. So there's also the infrastructure and career pathway, and those are some other certifications, but we're going to jump to the cybersecurity center career pathway because that's where our next certification that we're going to talk about is the CySA Plus. And with the CySA Plus is now that we've learned the fundamentals, we've designed networks and built networks, and we've secured our networks, now the CySA Plus in the role of an analyst, and we're going to monitor the networks. We're going to look for threats and vulnerabilities, and we're going to talk about incident response. So as you can see, we're building on this. So the CySA Plus, a lot of things that you'll learn of there is threat and vulnerability management, security operations and monitoring, incident response, compliance, and assessments as well. So again, we've started from the beginning. We've built on those network terminologies and those components. We've secured them. Now we're in the role of an analyst. And as you can see, how the CompTIA has this orchestrated and structured out is you have the CompTIA pathways from taking this fundamental. You can go in one of many directions in your cybersecurity goal. CompTIA also has additional pathways, the data and analytics pathway, and additional professional skills. But we've covered here the A Plus, the Network Plus, Security Plus, and the CySA Plus. And again, you can see how we've kind of built on those. So let's go ahead and continue on. We're talking about first the CompTIA A Plus certification. Now, CompTIA itself is a vendor-neutral organization, and it's a great way to be, because when you're coming into a field and you want to learn the technologies, the basic technologies, CompTIA is a wonderful organization because it gives you a platform of vendor neutral technology. So you can learn not just this vendor's way or this vendor's way, but really the industry standard way of doing things, of establishing yourself as an IT professional. So that's the great thing about CompTIA. So with the CompTIA exams, the certification, especially with the A Plus, you got a greater opportunity for advancement. You can advance more coming in with the A Plus because you have such a broad base of information and technologies under your belt. A good way to grow in your field and into your industry. Also, it reinforces and enhances the knowledge of your everyday technology, hardware, and software in the workplace. With an A Plus certification, like I said, you have so many different technologies as a foundation under your belt, from printer technologies, from networking, from cabling, from computer components. You can really build on that. It reinforces your knowledge that you can troubleshoot, you can help end users. It can lead you in a role of consulting. One example I share with people who come into the industry and people I talk to is with the A Plus certification. I remember years back, after I took my A Plus certification, I passed my A Plus certification, I was on a consulting role. I was in an organization's office and walking through their office, and I was there to resolve another issue on their network. But as I walked through the office, there were some people working on a computer, and they had a rebooting problem. They kept rebooting, and when they rebooted, it was the computer was sounding off some beep codes in a certain pattern. And again, from my knowledge with the A Plus, I immediately listened and I recognized those are beep codes. They couldn't understand what was going on, so I kind of stopped and went over and helped them and explained to them what was really going on. The computer was not booting properly, and it was actually doing in the post mode, which is it basically does a power on self test, and it was having a problem with a component on the motherboard, and it had a series of beep codes. So we worked that out by looking at the manufacturer's motherboard handbook and looked at the beep codes and identified what the problem was. But those are the things that you learn when you have that foundation and you're in a real life situation. You can immediately pick up on something when something's wrong based on those learnings. So that was just one thing I'd like to share about the A plus. So moving along, when you're coming into the A plus certification, there are two different tests, and we'll look at that in a moment. There's Core 1 and there's Core 2. So for the Core 1, there's 5 different domains that we're going to cover. There's the mobile devices, and again, you're going to be looking at mobile devices, laptops, small mobile devices, how to connect them, the software that's on them, the applications that you need to use to help end users, different screens, connections, connectivity. You're talking about wireless and even cellular. The A Plus touches on cellular networks as well. A lot of information there. So that's domain 1. Domain 2 is networking. You're going to learn about TCP/IP. You're going to learn about cabling. You're going to learn the basics of networking. You're going to learn about ports, because that's all of that information is going to help you as we build on. Domain 3 is hardware. As I spoke before, motherboard components, peripherals, and other things that you'll learn at that level. Also, A Plus has virtualization and cloud. It touches on those technologies. Cloud environments, learning about different cloud environments, what environment to use in what situation, virtualization, how to use virtualization, and the different virtualization technologies. And finally, domain 5 of the Core 1 exam is the hardware and network troubleshooting. Now, great thing about the CompTIA A Plus is it teaches you how to troubleshoot those hardware and those network items, how to look for certain issues and how to resolve those problems, and with the troubleshooting piece. And that's all in Core 1. So Core 1 is an exam and Core 2 is an exam. And like I said, we'll come to show you that in a moment. So Core 2, you're going to learn about the operating systems in the domain 1. You're going to learn about the Windows operating systems. You're going to learn about Mac OS. You're going to learn even about Linux and Chrome OS. A lot of other information about the Windows operating system, how to install it, how to image new systems, how to secure it, how to troubleshoot it, different ways to tweak, and different utilities and tools. There's so many different utilities and tools within the Windows operating system that the A Plus brings out and brings to the surface that you didn't even know that was there. It's a great operating system, and the A Plus does a great job in bringing that out, because you have to know all that as a professional, how to troubleshoot that, how to work with that, and how to support end users. So that's all in domain 1. Then in domain 2, A Plus looks at security. It looks at network security and security as far as on the operating system as well. It brings you into the area of talking about malware, how to troubleshoot malware, how to resolve malware. So it touches on that. So it gives you a good foundational layer of security as well. Then the next 2 areas, as far as in the Core 2, I really, really like. And the reason being is, as a person that's been in the profession for a long time, there's things that you need to learn as a technician, as an entry-level, mid-level, and even throughout your career, is, of course, troubleshooting and operational procedures. Let's first talk about troubleshooting. Domain 3, software troubleshooting. How to troubleshoot software. Gives you a great base on how to troubleshoot those things that you may come across in operating systems and applications, and what to look for and how to resolve those. That's a good base for any level of the path that you're going to go into, cybersecurity or whatever, any direction you're going to go into. It's a great base. And finally, one of my favorites is the operational procedures. The reason why it's one of my favorites is because the A Plus at this domain teaches you how businesses operate. Say, for instance, like change management. When you're in an organization, as a technician, you can't just make changes. There's a proper process that you have to go through. Change management process, you have to understand how that works and to be a part of that. So it does a great job of teaching you those basics for people that have never worked in that environment before. Also, it teaches communication, how to communicate with the end users, how to communicate with your clients and your other professionals. So there's a piece of communicate, how to communicate as well. I mean, that's great to have in a certification. And also it has the troubleshooting methodology, how to troubleshoot things. It's a step-by-step methodology that you have to follow to troubleshoot, whether it's hardware to software or whatever. So it's a great, I think it's a great component to the A plus. It really rounds it out and brings it full circle. So I said those are, again, two different tests. So let's learn a little bit more. Okay, so before we start there, question. Question is from YouTube as far as they're looking to become a cybersecurity engineer. I don't have any experience in cybersecurity. What are the good certs for me to land a dream role? Good question. Very good question. Honestly, I would recommend the A plus as a foundation, like I've been speaking about. It's a great foundational certification. It gives you. So let me say it this way: cybersecurity is securing our components and our technologies and our devices. In order to secure those, you have to know about those. So the A plus, the security plus, and the network plus, that's all going to give you the basics and that background, that foundation to becoming that cybersecurity person that you want to, that professional that you want to become. Getting that background and getting that foundation laid, I believe, is a great start for cybersecurity. So let's go ahead and talk about a little bit about the exams for the A plus. The exam length is 90 minutes. The question types that you're going to have are multiple choice. You're going to have different scenarios where you are presented a question and you have to answer that question. Well, of course, everyone knows about multiple choice. And a lot of times with multiple choice, it goes back to the knowledge that you have of that particular item. You know, if you rule out, well, it's not this one, it's not this one, so it must be that one. And sometimes, as we know with multiple choice, they can be two similar ones. And this is where that knowledge comes into play as far as knowing what to rule out and what to select. Also, performance-based. Performance-based questions are going to be questions where you actually have to perform steps. You may have a scenario where you're presented with an item and you have to troubleshoot it to find out the answer. Say, for instance, if you have a computer that can't reach out to the internet and it can, you put in the name of the website and it can't go through, but you can ping the website and it'll reach it. So it has you go through a step-by-step process of ruling out and identifying what the problem could be. So that's a performance-based type of question. Also, you'll have what's called a drag and drop. And drag and drop is basically you may be presented with several items and you have to drag them into the proper terminology or proper name and so forth. I think we have another question. I've been working in the computers network VoIP field for about 12 years, learning on the job. Great job. I know basic network plus, even though I don't have an A plus or network plus, but I want to get my security plus cert. Do you recommend going back and getting both or just the set security plus? And do you see companies wanting both network plus and security plus? Good question. And you got a lot of years of experience. And what the A plus does, and I'm leaning toward the A plus, but what the A plus does, it helps people who don't have that experience that you do have. And because you do have that experience, a lot of that could supplement. So based on your experience, it depends on your direction that you want to go in. Go get the security plus to kind of fortify the learning that you already have and kind of move on from there. Because with 12 years of experience, we're learning on the job, knowing the basic networks. Hey, that's great. I'm right there with you. That's how I started out my career. I started out my career first learning on the job. Then I went back and got my certs. And as I went further, I went back actually even got, my bachelor's and master's and so forth. But yes, the A plus is for entry level and getting you into those technologies. But learning on the job, as you have, yes, you can do exactly. Start there with the security plus and move on from there. So it's a good question. Hopefully that helps and answer that question. Okay, so we were talking about types of questions: multiple choice, performance-based, and drag and drops. You're all going to experience those on those tests. Now, the number of questions that you're going to have on the test is 90, 90 questions max. You may have just a little bit less, but no more than 90 questions. And we talked about there was two different tests with the A plus. The A plus, again, it's a lot of information. So you have core one, you have core two. So your passing score on the core one, which is the proper name of 220-1101, is 675. And the passing score on the core two, which is the proper name 220-1102, is 700. And that's on a scale out of 900. Quite doable, quite doable. All right, so that's a little bit about the test of the A plus. All right, so now we're moving on to the Network Plus. And like I said earlier, we've learned the technology, the foundations, and the basics. Now we're going to learn how to put all that together and build our networks. And that's where the Network Plus comes along. So this certification provides the following value. It helps you master the fundamentals of networking across any network operating system, installing, configuring, securing, troubleshooting, and network topologies. Enables you to hone on your IT skills and becoming a network technician or a network administrator. And honestly, Network Plus pulls it all in. In A Plus, you learn about the basics. You learn about the fundamentals. Now Network Plus is you get your hands dirty and start building things and putting networks together. My background is routing and switching, so I love networking. I love switching. I love networking and routing. I love that, so I can talk about that piece all day as well. But this is where you start to put things together and build networks. So the domains in the Network Plus, you're going to be covering networking fundamentals. Also, then you're going to learn in Domain 2, network implementations. Domain 3, network operations. And 4, network security. And Domain 5, network troubleshooting. So going back to Domain 1, networking fundamentals, just as the basics of networking, you're going to learn their switches and your routers and your connectivity of those. Then your network implementations, you learn a little bit more about the type of network topologies and things along those lines, and the type of and implementing those networks and how to implement those networks. Network operations, managing and monitoring your networks. Network security, again, we're going to build on the security that you already had on the A plus. Now you're going to get a little bit more fine tune on that security. And finally, network troubleshooting. If something was to go wrong, how to troubleshoot it, what to look for. And now we've built this, how do we monitor it, how do we keep it together, and how do we troubleshoot if someone's having problems and so forth. So those are the domains within the next Network Plus certification. So, and this test is only one test, not like the A plus where we have two. We only have one test here. The exam length is 90 minutes. The question types, again, multiple choice, performance-based, drag and drops. The number of questions here, you're going to have a max of 90. And this is a computer adaptive testing. And that's a little bit different than previously. And computer adapting means as you're doing your exam and you're answering those questions, it adapts to the way you're answering. And say, for instance, if you're strong in an area, you may get more answers along those lines. If you're weaker in an area, it may change it up a little bit. So it adapts to you taking that exam. And the passing score here for this one is 720. Again, that's out of a scale of 900. Recommended experience here for the Network Plus is 2 years in IT systems administration or working on the job, learning as you go. So 2 years experience, roughly time frame as far as the Network Plus. So that's the Network Plus exam and the certification. Security Plus. Now we are securing our networks. We learned the foundations, we learned the basics, we built networks. Now we're going to look at security. And this role right here, or this examination, it takes a real pivoted turn because you're now going to really start tightening down that network and securing its vulnerabilities and so forth. This certification is often used as a requirement for entry-level cybersecurity positions. Like I said, it's the pivot to get into different directions. Teaches you to manage security threats, vulnerabilities, understand security architecture and design, implement security solutions, incident response, risk management, and compliance. Again, as we're building and we're growing here from the basics of the A+, now we're Security Plus, and we're getting more honed here. Now, the domains here, again, is just one exam for the Security Plus. You have domain one, attacks, threats, and vulnerabilities. You're going to learn about what type of attacks come on the network and how to prevent those. You're going to learn about the threats that they are that they are against networks and vulnerabilities that may appear. These vulnerabilities could be from unpatched software or default credentials, things along those lines. You're going to learn about that in the Security Plus. Domain two, you're going to learn about architecture and design. Now, prior to Network Plus, we learned how to build certain different topologies, but now we're going to look at designing those topologies with security in mind. What things to build in with security, and let me pause here like I said, this is a pivotal turn in your cybersecurity pathway. There was a period of time in my learning when I started off in network routing, switching, a technician, just learning as far as about networks. And as I built networks and designed networks, I had a personal epiphany about security. We're building these networks, but how secure is the data? How secure is the infrastructure? And I began to look and learn about security. And Security Plus is a great opportunity for that. Like me, I had my personal epiphany about security. This is a great opportunity to add that layer of security or build in that layer of security for those professionals who have been in the industry for a while. So architecture and design is domain two. Domain three is implementation, how to implement security into the networks. Domain four, operations and incident response. Incident response is a great one because now this puts you on a path for cybersecurity and other pathways because you're going to learn the incident response steps, how to respond when something happens, and the steps that you must take to respond. If something happens, there's going to be some protocols and procedures that you need to follow, and Security Plus gives you the basic and an understanding for those, that incident response. Domain five, governance, risk, and compliance. You're going to learn, again, more about the regulations that I listed earlier, the PCI DSS, the HIPAA, GDPR, and you're going to learn more about those and how to secure our network specifically to be in compliance with one of those regulations. So you're going to get more dose of that from the Security Plus. Security Plus, as far as the exam, you're looking at exam length of 90 minutes. Question types you're going to get is the multiple choice, performance-based, and drag and drops. Number of questions is max of 90 questions. And again, you have computer adaptive testing as well. And you got a passing score of 750 as well on here out of a scale of 900. Again, that is Security Plus. It's giving you, again, securing your networks, a lot of networking information in this certification, but also how to secure those networks. So it's a lot of good information, networking information, and security information in the Security Plus exam and certification. Okay, and that brings us to finally the CompTIA CySA. This respective certification increases your market value and offers you greater opportunity for advancement. This is a highly sought after credential for both security analysts and pen testers. So again, we're making that pivot now. We're going in the pathway of cybersecurity here. This enhances all your applied knowledge and prepare you for detect, prevent cybersecurity threats and vulnerabilities through continuous monitoring. This is the analyst of the concepts that we left on learn about. This is the analyst, preparing you to be an analyst. So the domains here in this certification, number one, threat and vulnerability management. How to identify threats. We've, again, started from the basics, learned the basics in A Plus. We've built networks in Network Plus. We've secured them in Security Plus. Now we're monitoring. We're looking for threats and vulnerabilities, how to identify threats, how to look for vulnerabilities, and how to do a threat and vulnerability management plans. Vulnerability management, you're going to get a lot more into these concepts because in the realm of cybersecurity, you're going to have vulnerability management and those plans. And it's a continuous process. So this builds on that and gives you how to manage those vulnerabilities and those threats. Domain 2 is software and systems security. How to secure those. And again, monitoring those, looking for threats and vulnerabilities in those areas as well. Security operations and monitoring. It's going to teach you how to use different technologies and tools as far as monitoring your networks. You're going to get introduced to SIEMs, which are event management systems. Basically, what happens when you have a threat that's on your network, and the response, and how do you respond, and how it's detected. Learning about logs, and they're looking at logs and doing a deep dive into logs and IDSs and IPSs, which are intrusion detection systems, intrusion prevention systems. You're going to get a deep dive into the learning about those systems, and because you're constantly monitoring threats, you're constantly monitoring for threats and looking for those vulnerabilities in the networks. Also, incident response. I got another question here, a couple questions. So let me catch up with some of these questions. Do you recommend a college degree or for no experience? Good question. I have a lot of people ask me that, and my response to that is I believe you should get both. That's just me. I believe you should get both. College degrees, college education is a great thing. It gives you the access to all this information. It gives you the fundamentals that you need. However, you need hands-on experience as well coupled with that. And I believe that's a great approach to take to any place. So if you're looking to get into the cybersecurity field, I believe that you should couple them both together. Get some hands-on experience and get the college information. There's a lot of jobs out there that don't require a college degree or along those lines, but they do require that hands-on experience. So it's possible. I recommend you do both, but more importantly, I would say hands-on experience. You have to get that hands-on experience. Another question: does passing the CySA Plus exam recertify, renew the Security Plus and Network Plus and A Plus? Yes, it does. And let me explain about that one. Because say, for instance, if I got the A Plus, then I got my Network Plus and my Security Plus. As you build on those, you only have to renew that later certification, and it renews all the others. So as you build on your certifications, that later one will recertify you for all the other certifications that's beneath that one and below that one. And I hope that answers your question. But yes, that is a very good question. And I do hear that one a lot as well. CySA Plus, going back here again, incident response. We've talked about that before in the other certifications. This is going to give you a real deep dive in incident response and learning how to respond to vulnerabilities and other incidents on your network. And also the proper procedures and the protocols that you need to follow. And again, here, compliance and assessment, being compliant with those regulatory standards and assessment of your network, assessment of your environment. So that's the CySA Plus. And let's check for other questions that may have popped up. Nope, no other questions. Great. Oops. About that. Okay. CySA overview. Now, for this exam, the exam length is 165 minutes, a little bit longer. You have the same question types, multiple choice and performance-based and drag and drops. Now, the max questions you'll see here is 85 max questions, and this also has the computer adaptive testing as well. Your passing score here on this one is 750. Recommended experience here for the CySA Plus, 4 years of hands-on information security or related experience. Because as we were saying before, we've been kind of built on that. And this is more of a higher level. This is your intermediate to higher end certification, and it builds on all those other previous certifications. So the recommended experience here is 4 years of hands-on information security or related experiences. Oh, got a new message. One moment. Let's see. Do you recommend doing boot camp, and are they enough to land a decent job? Yes, they are enough to land a decent job. Boot camps, do I recommend those? Yes, you could do a boot. I do recommend a boot camp. Um, Again, I always have in addition to that, hands-on experience. And hands-on experience can come from lab as well. So yes, do a boot camp, but in addition, build a lab. Get familiar with these technologies. Because this is going to make you more proficient and more professional, is not just the learning of it, but also the using it. Get your hands dirty with it. Get familiar with it. Work with it. Play with it. Get experience with it. Experience from a lab can count as hands-on live experience as well. So yes, do a boot camp. And a boot camp is a time of period where you can go in and you're focusing all your attention on that learning, and you're getting that learning in a short period of time. And you can walk away with a lot of information. But then right after that, or while you're doing that, get your hands dirty with it. Learn about it. Tear things apart. Build them back together. Get that experience with it. So yes, to answer your question, I do recommend boot camps. What would you recommend to a 40-something-year-old IT pro looking to transition to cybersecurity? Is cybersecurity a solution based selling opportunities based on being certified? The great thing about cybersecurity is you can jump in at any point, 40-year-olds and 50-year-olds pivoting it into cybersecurity. And it's all about your skills and your experience. Jump in at that point and get the certifications and the learnings that you need and get that hands-on experience, because that's what's really going to come about, as far as when you're in front of a potential employer. And you can provide, hey, this is where I've learned, this is certifications that I have obtained, and these are my labs, or this is my real life experience that I've gotten. This is what I've done. Just recently, I was reading an article about Army veterans coming in, transitioning from the military into cybersecurity. But their roles in the military were something totally different. But they jumped into IT and, started off with some of the basic certs, transitioned into cybersecurity by getting real life experience. Sometimes that is with a company. Sometimes those are, again, with labs. But just getting that experience, you can pivot into cybersecurity at those ages. Good questions. Very good questions. And make sure I didn't miss any questions. I think we got them. Yeah, please keep the questions coming. This is great. Okay, so the CompTIA A Plus overview, again, we've talked about the length, the type of questions, and the number of questions, and the passing score. Preparing for a certification exam. This is a big topic. How do you prepare? We've talked about the exams that CompTIA offers. And of course, that Cybrary has great information. We at Cybrary have different labs that you can practice in, and practice tests. We'll look at those in a moment. But also other things to prepare for exam. We'll get to those in a moment. But, to assess what you already know, learn, practice, and to validate that knowledge. Get your hands dirty. Like I've been saying multiple times, get your hands dirty, whether it be a home lab. Back in the day, I remember, a lab, this was back when I was preparing for the Cisco CCNA. A lab meant you had to get, a router and a switch. You can do it virtually now. You can download a lot of these technologies for free. You can download virtual systems that allow you to play in an environment to get your hands dirty and practice with these technologies. So we're going to look at a lab here in a moment. But also when you're preparing for your certifications and you're going through for your information, your book work, and your information that you're going through, how do you get yourself mentally prepared? There's a lot of information that you're being introduced to over a period of time. Make sure if I can't stress anything, make sure you know the information. Don't just remember and retain, but make sure you know the information, because that's what's going to help you. Make sure you know what TCP/IP is and how it works, how networking works, how one packet is going to be sent from one side of the network to the other. What happens on a network when you're looking at through a device? You can see all the packets and information and everything going on IP addresses. Make sure you understand all that. Make sure you know the information. Not just, again, retaining and memorizing, but make sure you know it. What works well for me is, like I just said, make sure I know before I go into a certification exam. I prepare by, of course, just like everyone else, going through the book work and learning that information. But I want to make sure that I know why this is this. It's an example that I was just talking to someone recently, as far as if you remember way back in grade school, you have an exam or a test, and you may have missed an answer to a question, and someone gives you the answer. Okay, great. Now you have the answer, but why is that the answer? That's the most important thing is you have to know why that is the answer, because that's that foundation that you're building. That's knowledge. So that helps me as far as in certification. When I'm doing a certification, I want to know why this is that. And so that's what I can recommend to you as far as when you come into a certification, make sure you know why the answer is that, not just the knowledge. Let's check for some questions before we go on. Oh, no questions. Great. Okay, so again, assess what you've already know, learn, practice, and validate that knowledge. And that's when you're going to take the exam after that. So let's look at a couple things here. Let's look at first, we're going to look at the a practice test. And we're going to look at a practice test in the A Plus. And this is a platform that comes with Cybrary. When we sign up with Cybrary, this is a practice test that you have access to. So I'm going to just jump over here. And this is one of the testing dashboards that's the offer. When you have the Cybrary, you can have a testing simulation like this. And this is pretty good because you have a practice test here, or you can have flashcards. You can do either one, and you can kind of customize this. So let me show you what I mean. So if I click on this practice test exams simulation here, one moment, I'm going to refresh. Uh-oh, back up. Sorry about that. Let's get them launched again. Okay, so now here to the CyberVista practice test area here. You can do a quick quiz or you can do a customized quiz. And let's check here real quick. Oh, one moment. One moment. I'll get you guys caught up where I'm at. Okay, there we go. Now you should see the testing, the practice test. So you have a quick quiz or you have a customized quiz. So, let's hit customize quiz, and we're going to just customize a quick quiz here. Just show you the capabilities of this. As you went through your Cybrary video course, now you can go in here and do a test. So say, for instance, you can choose of the A Plus here, mobile devices. We're going to learn about the configure laptops and hardware components, and let's choose a little bit of networking. And we're going to say 10 questions and launch it from there. And it gives us questions. And we can answer these questions, and it'll show, our progress of our learning. We can test ourselves of our progress on our learning. And it gives you a review if you choose a wrong answer. At the end, it will give you a review, or it can review along the way. This question right here says, Heidi's laptop keyboard has gone bad and needs replacing. Which of the following tools would you most likely use to replace the keyboard? And it gives you those answers right there. Of course, just like any practice test, answer those. Now, let me go back to this dashboard here, because there's something else you can do here. If you do a customized quiz, you choose mobile devices and networking, and we say 10. Show score as you go and show answer explanations. This is a great opportunity to, again, learn as you go. This question right here, it's about you've been asked to set up a new Android phones that you purchased for management. Management has requested that their emails retain the read status no matter where the email was. What should you do? If you were to hit the wrong answer, it'll show you the right ones and the wrong ones and the why behind it. So you can learn as you go here. So that's a great learning platform there. Also, you can do flashcards, which I love and I recommend. Let's customize our flashcards. We'll do networking and do some hardware. And launch. So now we have flashcards. You can do flashcards as well to test yourself as well, and that's available here in the Cybrary platform. Um, and say, for instance, you couldn't remember. This one says, what does the acronym DRAM denote? Dynamic, and you couldn't remember the rest. Check answer, it gives you the answer, and you can see how close you were, or where you need to study. Just a great opportunity to learn for learning here. So now let's jump out of here. And first, before we transition, just want to check for any questions. Before we transition, let's look at a lab. That's another good learning tool here at Cybrary. One moment. Okay. So this is, again, something that comes with the Cybrary platform is virtual labs. Now let's go ahead and click on here and make sure that we continue on. We're going to launch the virtual lab here. One moment. And just let me know if you still can see that lab, if it did switch screens. Okay, one moment. There we go. So we were talking about labs, getting your hands dirty, learning with the different technologies and the tools and so forth. This is a great opportunity to do that here with the virtual labs. And the virtual labs will take you step by step with a different task. And in those tasks, each task will have a step that you need to follow, whatever type of virtual machine that you're going to be using and whatever you're going to be learning about. So say, for instance, this particular lab right here, this is a CompTIA Security Plus lab. And to proceed for the next exercise, we'll go forward. One moment. And it allows you to connect to different servers, the different systems, depending on what the lab is. This is a Windows server. It also has other machines that you can use, whether it be a Kali Linux or a Windows 10 machine. You can power on these devices and follow the labs and do certain exercises on these labs. You can do like an assessment you can do network discovery on a lab. You could practice out everything that you're learning about Security Plus. You can look for vulnerabilities. You can open up ports and look for ports, scan networks using a Kali Linux machine. So many different things you can do with the virtual labs. And it's all geared around the certification that you're going through. Like right here is a Kali Linux machine that you will log into and do an assessment of network discovery assessment. So a lot of different learning tools there that you can do. One moment. So again, A lot of good tools and resources as far as helping you with your certification. So, any questions at this point? I know we've covered a lot of information. There were a lot of good questions along the way, and I really, really appreciate those. Any good questions? Any other questions out there? Any other things that people like to know? Things that we can help you with? Question just popped up that says, I have a bachelor's in a library and information science and soon a master's in privacy, information, and security. Great job. Congratulations. Seems like I get a little bit of this and that from CompTIA certs. Any special recommendation? I guess it really depends as far as what direction you want to go in. Because right now you said you have a bachelor's in library and information science and soon a master's in privacy, information, and cybersecurity. Really, it depends on what direction you really want to go in. If you want to be in the cybersecurity as far as an analyst, the CySA Plus is a great one. It really depends on the path and the direction that you want to go in and what certifications that you want to go in, and as far as what pathway that's going to help you with your goal. What tools would you say to learn, prepare for security, like Kali Linux, or start with bootcamp or online training first? A lot of these tools out there are free. You can free to download them now to get used to them. Depending on your experience level, go ahead and jump in, get familiar with these tools. If you have books that you're using for your learning, use those to get used to these tools, to start learning about these tools. You don't have to wait for the boot camp. When the boot camps come around, great. That's a great opportunity to get in there and get that learning. But a lot of these tools are free to download. Kali Linux, Parrot OS is another operating system that you can download for that type of security work. Like I said, you can build your own virtual lab, and because there's a lot of labs that you can follow online. There's a lot of labs that you can follow here in Cybrary as well. So there's a lot of tools at your disposal that you can start right now immediately to getting that learning. So Kali Linux, Parrot OS. There's also some vulnerability virtual machines that you can download that has vulnerabilities that you have to even find the vulnerability on those virtual machines. So there's a lot of different tools, and they're free and readily available. Okay, any other questions? Any other questions? This was great. I appreciate everyone, taking the time to stop in and learn about these 4 certifications that, that Cybrary has: the A Plus, the Network Plus, the Security Plus, and the CySA Plus. Great different platforms that Cybrary has that you can help you get your certification and get you on your way to your cybersecurity journey. You have any other questions about any of these certifications, please feel free, reach out to Cybrary. Look at Cybrary, talk to someone at Cybrary about some of the video courses and the information that you can learn here. It's a lot of good information, a good learning platform to help you be on your way to your goals. There's a lot of information out, and sometimes knowing what to learn and to learn them become difficult. What would you recommend for beginners? Good question. Again, you want to decide where you want to go and where you want to end up in, whether that's be information technology, infrastructure, cybersecurity. Begin at the basics. A lot of time it's laid out for you. Like what we just told here, for a beginner, start with the A Plus. Learn the basic fundamentals of some of these technologies and build on from there. It's a roadmap already laid out. The A Plus, the Network Plus, then the Security Plus, and the CySA Plus. That's a great roadmap right there to learn. It's a roadmap already laid out. And as you get familiar with some of these technologies, you'll be beginning to, depending on your path and which direction you want to go, you may find other pieces. And once you build on that foundation, as far as to help you out. Again, it depends on your path and what direction you want to go in. Another question that just popped up. It says maybe a stupid question. No, never a stupid question. Never a stupid question. But you never know. CompTIA classes with labs, the absolute best resource, or are there any you recommend? I recommend Cybrary. Even before I became a Cybrary instructor, I was a Cybrary user or student, and I recommended Cybrary. There's a lot of other learning platforms out there. There's YouTube. Um, so yeah, there is a lot of others out there, but I recommended Cyber even before I became a Cyber instructor because I liked the material, and it was readily available. I loved it. I loved the platform. Um, Great. Another comment popped up. Uh, Great. Thanks so much for this. This is really helpful. Um, let's see. Does someone who already has some decent IT skills but no certification, do you think doing the A Plus course is always necessary, or could you skip it and go right to Network Plus? It depends on your background and how experienced you are. If you've already been into the game about a year, 2 years, and you know the fundamentals and you know your learning level, look at the Network Plus or the Security Plus and see if you need to jump in there. It's based on what you've learned. And again, um, when you go to an organization for a job or whatever you're trying to accomplish, they're not going to look at you and say, okay, did you do this first? Did you do this first? And did you do this one? They're going to look at what you know, because that's in the cybersecurity realm right now. We need skilled individuals. We need skilled professionals. How skilled are you? Whether you got that through the A Plus course and this course and this course, or you jumped in there, got your hands-on experience, and enrolled in the Cybrary platform and got your knowledge that way and practice and got some real life examples. It is basically on where you're at now. What is the best certificate to take after the bachelor's degree in cybersecurity? Again, you probably hear me say this a lot. It depends on your path and the direction that you're going. Uh, give you an example. Way before I started getting some of my certs that I have now, I started off with Cisco CCNA. That was me because I was routing and switching. I changed and got some other certifications. Now my certifications are, one is the SSCP, which is more of a CISSP, or more of a looking at the regulations and the compliance and the management, hiring management of those lines. It depends on your direction that you want to go in. So if you got a degree in cybersecurity, it depends on the certifications that you have, what you already have under your belt, and how many years of experience and what skills you have. If you want to go into the management aspect of it, you want to probably look at the CISSP or the CISM, which Cybrary has that information in those courses as well. It depends on, again, what you're after. What goal are you going into? And that's the certification that you probably need to look for. Hopefully that helps. Hopefully that helps. Good questions. What other questions do we have? This has been really good. And hopefully it's working for you as well, as far as getting some answers to these questions and getting a little bit of a deep dive into what Cybrary has to offer as well. Okay. I'm just waiting to see if we have any other questions. It's been a good group here, good constant stream of requesting questions. Okay. What is the most common transfer role? Let me ask a clarifying question. What do you mean as far as transfer role? If you could. Ah, um, information technology versus cybersecurity. If you want to be a network engineer, routing, switching, WAN topologies, and so forth, more of an information technology, a system administrator, or you want to be on the security side, threat vulnerability, or a cybersecurity analyst, that's more of the cybersecurity. What's the most common transfer role? Honestly, it's either or, because our industry needs both. We need people to administer and monitor our networks. At the same time, we need security professionals to prevent and deter threats from happening. It's wide open right now. It really is. It's wide open. Information technology versus cybersecurity, both of them are. It's a wide open playing field. It's really where your heart is and your desire is, and what path you want to go down, because they're both right now needed in this industry. Very good question. Okay. Any other questions? This has been really good. Very good opportunity to kind of learn what's on everybody's mind and what people are looking for and seeking. And again, hopefully we're able to answer that and provide the answers for those and kind of help guide you along the way. Okay. So next question popped up was, after the basics of A plus networking and security, what would you recommend if you want to be in policy making for cybersecurity? Policy making, you would probably want to lean towards the CISSP. The SSCP is another good one. CISSP. Those are going to be more of your on the managerial ends and the policy makings and making policies and procedures and regulations and guidelines and all those lines. Again, that's one path that you can take. So CISSP, SSCP, CISA, the auditor, or CISM, information security management. Any of those that going in that direction kind of help you with that goal, if that helps you out. Good question. What is the best entry-level title for a cybersecurity seeking professional? Entry-level title. An analyst, IT analyst, is one of the entry-level titles that you can probably go for. Let's see. I'm trying to think of some other ones. Analyst, sometimes IT, not really management, but really like a junior level IT. There's some also titles along those lines that you'll see advertised. Okay, so analyst, junior level IT, like a tier one or one or two, tier two cybersecurity technician. Those are some titles that you'll see advertised a lot. Sometimes those come out, 1 or 2 years of well, 1 to 3 to 4 years experience. So any junior admin level along those lines, you'll see those as well. So those are some of the entry level titles that you would see in that role. So if you keep your eye on for those, you can kind of gear toward those, getting in, and build from there. Good question. Good place to start from as well. What's your take on CTFs, or capture the flags? I like those. If you ever had opportunity to experience one, do it. It's fun. That's a real life test and kind of puts you to the test as far as can I do this or not? And if you can't do it, great. Learn and try it again. Any time that you could practice what you know and try to jump out there and learn, do it. Do it, because you're only going to get better. Even when you don't obtain it, or you don't do well, you're always learning from your mistakes and what you didn't do well, and you're rehoning on that and getting better. So anytime you have that type of opportunity, do it. Do it. Not just those, but other things like labs. Play around with those. There's a lot of different, of the capture the flag process or thoughts or platforms. Hack the box. There's other ones out there as well that you can go, and try to see how well you are applying your knowledge. And that's how you're going to stay sharp, is doing things like that. Can you say there are some questions regarding vouchers in the chat? I personally don't know the answer to that, but Cybrary team will follow up with you in the chat. Okay, as far as vouchers, can you expound on that one again? There's some questions regarding the vouchers. Well, let me say this. Say for instance, if you go to a platform, if you go to like a CompTIA, and you purchase the voucher package, you can purchase in like the testing and the voucher patches. So if you say for instance take your test, and it may give you a one retake. So those are things that you can do when you go to purchase your exam. Purchase those packages that has the testing voucher and a number of retakes, and it has some additional information as well. It may have a different an additional test packet or some other material. So those are different ways you can buy those packages as far as for the vouchers. Hopefully that helps you. Hopefully that helps whoever had that question. And Cyber will answer, a lot of your questions about vouchers as well, and explain to you about that. Great. Any other questions? Anything that anybody had a question on or what was presented here? Anything that we need to go back over and explain a little bit more in detail? Happy to do that as well. A lot of good questions about the pathways and where to start and which direction to go in. Again, if I can reiterate, there's so many different directions that you can go in with cybersecurity and different learning paths. There's a lot of information out there, and Cyber has a great selection of pathways that you can learn. You can jump in and learn, and from beginning to end. So there's a lot of different platforms that you can learn about right here on Cybrary. A lot it has to offer. So, and there's a lot of questions out there with people wanting to get started in cybersecurity. How do they do it? And this is how you do it. Start at those basics and build on there. Stay busy and keep learning. Great. Any other questions out there? That's a good question. Suggestion for those who experience anxiety prior to test taking, no matter how well prepared or knowledgeable they are. I had this very conversation actually with my wife. She has test anxiety, and I was kind of helping her. One thing that really helps you as far as, you have to get in that mindset of, don't worry about the clock. Focus on the question at hand and what you know, because what you know kind of helps you, get peace, and it can answer those questions in a peaceful state of mind. Don't worry about failing. Don't worry about I'm running out of time or what if and what if. It's just you and that exam, and you're taking that exam and answering that question. And as you're answering those questions, just remember all the study and the knowledge, and the answer will come up, and you answer those questions, and you move to the next question. I, take this is the way I do an exam. A lot of people may do it differently, but this is the way I do it. I start off with my first question. I answer that one. For things that I can't answer, I mark it. If that test allows it, I mark it and I come back to it. things that you may not be sure about or I may not be sure about. I rule out and see what the best answer could be. I answer it and I also mark it. So when I'm finished with my test, I go back and do my review. But you want to review based on the knowledge that you have, not on second guessing, like, well, it could be this, it's probably this, but read it to yourself, read the question, look at the answers and rule out it can't be this because of this, it can't be this because of that, because you've had that knowledge. You've read the trainings, you looked at the videos, you have that knowledge. And sometimes it can be very, very close, but you have to rule things out. That's going to help you with that test anxiety, is just really going back and resting on the knowledge that you have. And that takes a lot of anxiety of it, about, what you may not miss and what you may or don't know. Just go back into that knowledge that you have, and just kind of rest in that. So that's my suggestion I have as far as test anxiety. Also, make sure you're prepared. Make sure before you take that test and, the day prior, review, get into a good mindset, relax. Sometimes you may just have to stop, reading for a while before that test day comes, and just get yourself mentally prepared. Get you in a relaxed state of mind. Get yourself prepared to take that test the next day. Sometimes I may just go and do something else, getting your mind off of it. However, whatever you need to do to relieve that anxiety. So hopefully that helps, because I had that same conversation just recently with my wife. She had the same thing. So, and I also, along those lines, I had an instructor that always told me, don't second guess yourself. You're knowledgeable. Don't second guess yourself. And it's funny because sometimes we are very knowledgeable. We have the answer, but we second guess ourselves out of the answer. And I've done that prior, to times as well. So, don't second guess yourself. Trust yourself, trust your instincts, trust that gut feeling. Again, hopefully that helps. Good question. Good question, by the way. I know a lot of people suffer from that as well. So, any other things that you guys would like to know or like to ask, feel free. We're here to help you. There's a lot of resources here to help you. Question just popped up as far as, what would you consider an entry level role? An entry level role would probably be one of your junior technicians, junior analyst. Could be a first level help desk technician, where you're doing first level work. You're taking those first level calls before you transfer or refer that or escalate it up to a higher level. Junior analysts, first levels, those are all entry level roles. It could be even a technician, cabling technician, or help desk technician. Those are all entry level roles. Um, so, hopefully that clarifies that. So when you're looking at different roles that's available, sometimes they'll state entry level, and you'll look at the learning experience or the job requirements. It may be 1 to 2 years experience. Those are great opportunities to build on that. If you're transitioning and you're looking for an entry level role, you'll learn a lot from companies, because companies want to invest in you. You come in at a junior or entry level role, there's a lot of learning opportunity there that when you can build on and grow with that company. And sometimes they may have learning or access to learning platforms like Cybrary or other platforms as well, that you can go in at that entry level role and build from there. So any type of role that you're first level technician, junior technician, or analyst along those lines, maybe even first level analyst or second level analyst. So those are some of those entry levels. And hopefully I answered that question for you. Good questions. Okay, question just popped up. There are so many certifications. If I look at data analytics as a field, AWS has its suite, and so does Microsoft. There are also others like Oracle, IBM, SAS, Google. Broadly, there are platform providers, and then there are others like CompTIA. How to choose? Very, very good question. Very good question. Let's just kind of choose a couple and kind of go from there, and it kind of may answer the question about the others. Look at the capabilities. It's almost like you're kind of shopping for, I had said like a car or something that you want to invest in. Look at look at who uses what they have to offer. AWS versus the Microsoft platform. If you're looking at jobs and looking at job requirements, and you're looking at, and they say, Azure background, or so many years of Azure experience, or so many years of AWS. And if you're looking at jobs that you want to apply for, or the role that you want to be in the near future, and that type of role has that type of platform, that's part of the platform you probably need to, hang your hat on and learn about that platform. Compare them before you even begin the learning. Compare those platforms, what one has versus the other. Similar technologies, they have a different way of going about it and doing things, but look at what they have to offer, and look at their learning path and their learning track. How long will it take you to get where you want to go in that technology, and kind of make a decision from there. When you have similar technologies and everybody have their own spin on it, that's how you compare those and what's going to work well for you. AWS versus Azure. If you're going to be looking at down the road being a cybersecurity professional, and all the roles that you see that you would like to be in, those organizations are asking for, Azure. That's the direction you need to go in. So, that's how I would probably recommend you to making that choice as far as the organizations and the type of jobs that you're going to be looking at. And then compare the features, compare apples to apples and oranges to oranges and so forth. Compare them together and see what you're going to get out of those and what you're going to learn out of those as well. Because it's hardly to say, as far as which is best or not, because, a lot of organizations use so many different platforms. It depends on where you're going to be going in your pathway. It's really going to be what platform you probably need to hang your hat on. And then again, who knows? You may want to do both. You may want to do both AWS and Azure, or any other platform as well. Hopefully that can kind of guide you and help you. That's a good question as well, because there are so many different platforms out there. You just have to research them and learn about them, learn about the bells and whistles of them, and which features and capabilities and where you want to hone on and go in that direction. Good question. What other questions are out there? I'm just checking to make sure we don't have any other questions. Okay. Okay, so I think this is a point where we're going to go ahead and end our session for today. For everyone out there who attended, it was very, very good doing this. I really enjoyed your questions, and I hope that you got something from this. You got a taste of the certifications, those 4 certifications, the A Plus, the Network Plus, Security Plus, and the CySA Plus. How to get started on those, how to prepare for those, what they have to offer, and also what Cybrary has to offer as far as getting you there. So, and in your questions, I appreciate your questions. Any other question that you have, reach out to Cybrary, the folks at Cybrary. They will be more than happy to help you, work with you as far as getting your goals realized and get you on the right path. And again, I thank you for your time. I thank you for your questions. It was very good. I love talking shop with people. I love talking technology. I love helping people, and that's what we're here for. So if there are no other questions, I think we're going to wrap up. And again, thank you for your time. My name is Bill Price. I've been in your live streams instructor, guide, and counterpart today. It was a good time being with you guys, and I think that's it. And we'll see you later. Thank you for attending.